And I think Kenny, obviously they made the move for him. They look really good. I just think Cloud9 has missed the boat on this. I have a feeling that they just thought they were going to be able to figure all this stuff out and probably hope that they could beat a lot of these lower teams that would just get them into champs, just barely. But a lot of these teams are starting to make these changes and already had, like, I mean, Carolina, if you're talking about standings, they didn't need to make a change. They're going to make it to champs. There's no question about it. But they still are like, no, this team is not going to be able to win. We're not going to be able to compete and be where we were in Major 1 and 2. That's why I don't understand the lack of initiative by Cloud9.
But I think they get double first rounded and they don't even get any points, then it's going to look really bad. In general, it doesn't look good to not have OpTic in champs. That's a team, regardless of whether you like them or not, that team should be in champs no matter what.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 219 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing, bro?
Doing pretty good. It's a beautiful day outside.
Goddamn right it is.
We're in spring. So I'm feeling it. It's awesome.
I know, bro. When you look off to my left here, I mean, you can't see anything. That's a good sign, bro.
Yeah.
That's
sun. Sun.
Yeah, I know. Man, yesterday, even going back on our last episode, I remember I was mentioning my premonition or my hope that when I would leave on Thursday, it'd be a nice, beautiful day. I was granted that.
Yeah, you were.
It was so nice. I was like, oh, hallelujah, And then they had people too, and they were like, by the college near me, they were putting out mulch. So you smell that, and they were cutting the grass. I was like, oh yeah, this is prime time.
It's spring.
I know, finally. I mean, it's insane to me that we had snow last Saturday here, and now this is the weather that we're getting. I think it said, let me check on my phone. I think it said it was going to be 80. It's right now it's 79, but it says at 5 p.m. it's going to be 82 degrees. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think the last week was literally the turning point of when we're starting to get 60 plus degrees again and sunny, which is nice. So
yeah, I don't want to make the jump into 80 right away.
Well,
like
we're
that.
in 80 today.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Well, so I'm already worrying about sleeping tonight, because if I go to bed and it's hot in my room and I'm uncomfortable, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I feel like we don't even have the transition between spring and summer anymore, or the transition between fall and winter. It's just instantly hot or instantly cold.
Right.
Climate change. And if you don't believe in climate change, God
help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. It used to be we would get that transition where we would get multiple weeks or a month or so of that, 55, 65, maybe an occasion get the high temp. But yeah, I can't even, again, on Saturday it was snowing and then it was cold. This week has been okay, but yeah, now we're just getting this random day. So I'm hoping it's just an odd day that it's going to be hot. And
yeah. I mean, then the upcoming week's supposed to be 60s, mid 70s, which I would say that's still pretty warm for spring. Normally, when we were growing up, it would be that 50 to 65, for again a month or a month and a half. Now we had that for a week, and then we're getting hot weather. I mean, like you said, we went from snow and waking up 30, 35, 40, and now it's 70, sunny. It makes no sense.
Yeah, dude. And it screws with me too, because I got all my jackets and stuff that I'm still wearing. And then today I'm I'm just going to go out in a t-shirt like I don't need anything, But then who knows what tomorrow's going to hold. Tomorrow I might need to actually go and bundle up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, dude, what do I do? Do I get rid of all my sweaters and stuff? Is it time to call it on it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And people say, oh, it's just a random hot day or a random cold day. I'm like, dude, it's April. There should be no random cold day
right.
hot day. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now that should be long past us, but
yeah,
I don't know. We're going to have to be just dealing with it, I guess, until once we get into June, then it's, normal bar. It'll be whatever.
Once it's June, it's summer. When school's out, for me, summer's what is it? People graduate college, May mid May or something like that, early to mid May.
Yeah, I think that's when they finish up is like, yeah, middle of May. That's usually
Yeah,
when college gets let out, which that's crazy, bro.
yeah. Like, so for me, when I think about that, and like when school's just out in general, it's summer.
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah, thing that I think about a lot is because so some of the kids that I teach private guitar to, like I did today, um, there's one of the girls, she's in high school, and I was asking, I was like, "Oh, how'd the week at school go?" All that, and she's like, "Oh man, it just sucks, like trying to wake up. Like that's my hardest part." And I said, "What time do you have to be there?" And same like us, it's like, "Oh, we have to be there." It was 7:30.
Yeah,
But I was like, "Man, we had to be in homeroom at 7:15."
yeah.
Like, and getting up crazy early, bro. I don't know how we did that.
Oh, I don't either. And then having, I mean, we got out early, but a lot of us had extracurricular stuff after school too. So you do school, go and do like sports or whatever after school. After that, get back home and do homework, and then do that every single day.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy, you
Yeah.
know? Like, because she's telling me now, or she's asking me, "When do you get up?" And I get up probably around like 6:30, 6:45,
Hmm.
but I don't need to be at work until I mean, technically, I don't have to be there till 8:40,
Hmm.
which is late. Like, my school starts crazy late. I don't
Hmm.
teach until 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
which is yeah, is so screwed up. But that's so much easier to do, like, just getting up at around that time, I don't mind. If I wanted to wake up at, like, 7:30, I could, and
Hmm.
get there, wouldn't be an issue. But the fact that they have to be there and rolling like we did,
Hmm.
you have to be in homeroom at 7:15 or something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't miss those days at all. Even with
Oh.
college, having those 8 a.m.s,
Oh
which
yeah. Yeah.
I still didn't like those, but that was nothing compared to being in high school, getting up
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that early every day.
Mhm. Well, that's the thing. It's more college is more realistic, where 8 o'clock suck, like 8 a.m. classes, but you know most people start working by then anyways. So
Right, right.
yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
you can
not that
skip it if
bad.
you want. You can skip your job and get fired, but but yeah. But the problem is like to change that time for school in general. I feel like that would literally have to change society. Meaning, if you're a parent and you have kids, most people start working at 8 o'clock, so their kids have to be at school before then. Like because like I wouldn't be able to show up working at like 9 o'clock if
Right.
kids had to start later. Like
Oh, no
everybody would be
chance.
showing up way later, and then you're at least for school, you're probably still getting out. What if you start at like 8:30? You're probably getting out around what 2:30 or
Yeah.
3, something like that.
I get out at 3:30.
Yeah, yeah. And again, when you're if you're a parent and you're working and then you drop your kids off and say you start working at 9 or whatever, you're not getting out until like 6, 5, 6 if you want the full like 8-hour day.
Right,
And
right.
then you have to um somehow sneak out and get your kid unless your kid takes a bus or whatever.
Well, that's what a lot of them do, or they just walk.
Yeah, yeah.
I noticed way more kids, even when we were in middle school. I mean, I guess because it's a city, people probably just
Yeah,
they
yeah.
live around there.
Closer, yeah.
But so many more kids just walk instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how they do it because they get there at like 8:50, and then
Yeah.
some of these people, the parents that work, I'm like, bro, how do you do this? How do you bring your kid to school? You
Yeah.
know, like either you don't work or your job when it starts is insane. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, like you said, everybody starts pretty much at 9 o'clock or around like 8:30. They're getting in. But these people, they're just rolling in, bringing their
Mhm.
kid, and they're in their pajamas. I'm like, dog, do you not work? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if you don't work, that's cool. But
there's no way like our school, you couldn't walk to our school unless you literally lived in the neighborhood right across the street.
yeah.
Like it would take forever for like even if you lived downtown where we were, it would take forever to just walk to the school.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
That's
If
why
you
living
live,
in the city, I mean, I'd imagine everyone lives like within the city. So
yeah, there's plenty of times we're at outside like a recess or whatever, and I'll be talking to kids, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I live like right there," and you
yeah.
could see all those homes that are, you know, I don't even know. They're less than point 0.1 miles away,
Yeah.
you know? But I remember, that four-way, light that's, like, at the top of that hill
Yeah,
near,
yeah.
our old high school?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
bro, even walking from,
From there,
like,
yeah.
there all the way up to the school down there, bro, that's just long.
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
take you a minute to walk there,
And,
you know?
like, we get, all kinds of weather. You imagine walking in the winter, at least, I mean, it's still sucks no matter what, even if you're close, but at least you can get there within, like, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
bro.
easily taking like, from downtown, like, 45-minute walk,
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
easily.
Yeah, like, and that's casual, if you're
Yeah, yeah.
hustling, I mean, who the hell's gonna be doing that anyway?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and you gotta do that 5 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah, nah,
Not
fuck
gonna happen.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, man, I mean, it's been nice on vacation. I'm happy too because this week I've got we got the major coming up, so I get to actually
Mhm.
pay close attention to it. Usually when these matches go on, it's like, my last class of the day, and I'm
Thursday,
like,
Friday,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
all right, I'm like, don't do anything, just chill out. And then I'm just sitting at my desk, I pull up the matches, and someone comes up like, what do you watch? I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What you want, bro? Don't interrupt me." Because I did get to watch a little bit yesterday. I mean, jumping into the games, like, obviously, we're recording this on, was it Saturday,
Mhm.
not on normal Monday. So we got some matches probably going on, well, I guess in a little bit, probably the time we're gonna be recording this.
Like, now.
Um,
I think the first
yeah,
games start now.
yeah. But yesterday we had some matches, and I think it's honestly setting up, a lot of big things that are gonna be going on at the major. Um, First thing, talking about on a negative side, bro, is we talked about them last week. I know I put some shorts out, which be sure to go to TikTok and Instagram and check them if you haven't. Um, it was with Cloud9 and saying that, they haven't made a change and if that was the right move. Um, and we were talking about Carolina. They made their change. I don't think we haven't seen
Official.
Carolina
It's
perform
official
yet.
now that they made the
Yeah, it's
change, yeah.
yeah, it is official. They made their change. They picked up Dylan Rex
Mhm.
in place of Vivid, and I don't. I think today we're seeing them. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
they're playing today.
yeah, so we'll get a sample to see what they look like if they've gotten any better or not. But Cloud9, dude, they
Mhm.
played the boys yesterday. They got Kentucky
Yeah.
fried. They,
Ride.
dude.
That was the
Okay,
only series that I was able to watch, and it was a very quick series.
you blink and it was over.
Yeah, yeah.
I was expecting that matchup to be a bit closer because
I thought they were
I'm
gonna
gonna
take at least a map.
right, right. I mean, I'm gonna be real. I kind of underestimated Boston going into this. I was thinking that they've been okay, like they look good.
Mhm,
Consistency's definitely been their weak point. Um, and Cloud9 is kind of a streaky team. Sometimes they look good, and other times they don't look that good. And
mhm,
they've been on a series of not looking that good. Um, so I must have thought that they were going to have a bounce back. They definitely did not. They got 3-0'd by Boston. I mean, Boston
mhm.
looks great right now. They're definitely on the resurgence, which is the good news. Um, but man, I don't know what is stopping that team from making a change at this point. I really
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably the potential of a team, right? Like, that's what everyone says. That's what same thing with OpTic, but you just sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do it, you know? But also they could be saying, "Oh, well, in scrims again. In scrims we look fine." And then when it comes to the actual qualifier match, they look bad. Granted, I mean, like, they're not playing a bad team, right? Boston's been um they'll lose matches like here and there, but I would say for the most part they're pretty consistent in terms of keeping everything close. Like, I would say they're like a top 5 hardpoint team for sure. Like, they're really good at hardpoint. This is a one team out of all the rosters that they've had in previous years where I look at this team and they're going up against honestly any team, maybe besides like FaZe and Thieves, where I'm like, they have a good chance of winning, like a really good chance of winning. And like they've beaten Thieves before. They've beaten FaZe before too, technically. So like this is just a really good team and they work together. So yeah, when they played Cloud9, I just thought, I mean, they're gonna win, but I thought maybe Cloud9 would put up some decent numbers and fight back a little bit, but they didn't really. I mean, in the search they kind of did, but respawn they got cooked.
Yeah, they and especially I remember the it was the 1v3 that Awakening had on them.
Mhm.
I mean, those are just situations that you can't let happen, you
Yeah.
know. They should never that should be just an immediate loss for Breach, barring insanity. And there just seems to be a real disconnect with that team and the way that they play together.
Mhm.
And it's been like that for a little while now where they just had these, laps in ability. I mean, let's call it like
Mhm.
it is, man. Like Attach is not playing up to his
Mhm.
potential, and neither is what's his name? Mac.
Mhm.
It's really those 2 guys that
And
are
Sib.
it yeah, I
And
mean,
I
you
think
could say, yeah, all 3 of those
yeah.
guys, barring Kremp are holding them back, you know?
Mhm.
I would say Sib sometimes can be a little bit more, consistent, but it's not saying that much
He's just
when
he's hot and cold. I wouldn't say Sib's consistent.
yeah. It's like you look at their breakdowns after all the matches, and they're all negative. None of them have a 1 KD,
Mhm.
Or again, maybe just Kremp will be the only one that's playing well.
Mhm.
Um And that's where the question of potential and what that team can do, for me, it's gone.
Mhm.
When you're doing that on a weekly basis and just match after match, you're struggling and saying, "Oh, trying to get better, working on this." Man, there's not a lot of glimpses of, looking good that I
Mhm.
see with them. Um, and I think they missed their window on trying to get a lot of good people. There's still a lot of players that they should just take a chance on at this point if they want to play spoiler because they're
Mhm.
not going to make champs.
Yeah. I mean, like, what place are they in right now for champs? Aren't they fighting for eighth? I mean, they're definitely not top eight, but
Let me go see if I can pull it up really quick to see where they are. They are 11th.
hmm,
Yeah. In Major 3 qualifiers. Sorry. Let me see if they have the regular season.
overall,
Yeah. See, overall, they're ninth.
okay, yeah. So they have a fighting chance. They just they have to make a run at this major, and they have to do really well, in major four qualifiers, because yeah, I mean, they're what 11th this major three qualifier.
Yep.
That's yeah, that's pretty bad. What they haven't won anything then.
Their map went. They're one
They're
and
1-3.
three. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know who they beat then. I forget. I'd have to go back and see.
hmm,
Um,
but I mean the only person that has been consistent on that team is Crimp. Like
yeah,
when they're losing, I mean it doesn't matter. Like you're still losing, but Crimp is the only one so far on that team that's been like honestly carrying that team to like any close games. And yeah, I mean, I think if they have to make a roster change, my move would be changing out Mac. Attach hasn't been playing good, but again, I think he's the type of guy where the team's not playing well because they're not meshing well together. He needs, you know, other subs to help him out, or like maybe it's a two-person change. If it's a two-person change, I really think they have to do something with Sib and Mac and figure that out because I don't think Attach is playing to the best of his ability, but I don't think he's necessarily the problem of that whole team.
do you think he's kind of like a priestess situation?
No, no. I mean, I guess the way that I described it, yeah, but I think Attach is significantly more consistent and better than like Priesta.
Yeah.
Not as a player, but just like if you look at his past from team to team, he's definitely more consistent with the type of players that he has around him.
Yeah, no, I would agree. They're they're in a tough spot too because it's a team that is looking consistent even though they're still losing. Is Rocker, and they're right behind them by 5 points. Like I think most people would say that Rocker's potential and their trajectory is going to continue to go up.
Mhm,
Um, again, granted, like their record doesn't look as good, but they've been playing a lot better just as a team, and they're nearly there.
mhm,
It was like we've seen so many times with Boston where they just couldn't get over that last bit in the game fives. And I think Kenny, like obviously they made the move for him, and they look really good. Uh, I just think Cloud9 has missed the boat on this. I have a feeling that they just thought they were going to be able to figure all this stuff out, um, and probably hope that they could beat a lot of these lower teams that would just like get them into champs just
Mhm.
barely. But a lot of these teams, are starting to make these changes and already had like, I mean, Carolina, in a sense, if you're talking about standings, they didn't need to make a change.
Mhm.
They're doing fine. They're gonna make it to champs. There's no question about it. But they still are like, no, we know this team is not going to be able to win. We're not going to be able to compete and be where we were in major one and two, um, or really just major one. And that's why I don't understand the lack of initiative by Cloud9. I know people throw it around all the time about that team being, a friendship team.
Mhm.
And I don't like to always buy into that narrative, but I think that had a pretty big impact on this team. I think there's a lot of people on there that are good buddies,
Mhm.
and they're just like, "Man, we'll figure it out, bro. Like, we'll work on this stuff. We'll get it together."
Mhm.
And it's like, man, you've had months to do that, and it's
Mhm.
not happening. So when do
Yeah.
you pull trigger?
Yeah. I mean, that's a decision, like, again, I feel like the whole team has to make. Like Mac, Sib, and Attach, like they've all played with each other at some point. I think Kremp's the only guy there that hasn't teamed with all of them,
Right,
and Kremp is the one that's the most consistent on the team in frying. So,
right.
but again, like you look at a player like Sib, like specifically him, and we've seen what he can do, but he's not doing it this year. He's very hot sometimes, and then he's like super cold for 2 weeks in a row, and then he's hot again, and then he's cold again. So yeah, I mean, they'll probably regret not making a change because they're fighting for that 8th spot. They're close overall, and they have to make a run this major and then major 4 qualifiers to hopefully have a chance at making champs. But again, this these mid pack teams, these mid pack teams are pretty fucking good compared to like previous years. Like
Right.
I guess I would consider Boston. You can classify them as a mid pack team, but they're definitely really, really good. They can beat the top teams. It's not
Yeah,
like, oh, Boston's playing uh like a Ultra or Surge, right? It's not like we expect them to get just shit on. Whereas
right.
previous years, yeah, like they're probably gonna get swept, but Boston's technically a mid pack team, and there's a good chance that they're gonna win against these higher teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I I don't know.
I mean,
I
like even
just
Rocker, like mid pack team, but like look at Rocker, they've gotten significantly better. They're not closing it out, but I would definitely take Rocker over C9 at this point if they had to play each other.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the competition level just amongst these mid-level teams is so much stronger. I mean, I was just looking to try to see the standings right now for Major 3 because I know we'll get into it here in a second, but yeah, just going through all these teams and like in my head thinking about them, the only ones that are like terrible right now that you could pretty much always bet against would be Gorillas. And honestly, I think right now Cloud9's in that, you
Mhm.
know. The Vegas team, it's too early to say with that team. I think they're going to get themselves out of being a team that will always lose. I mean, obviously they beat OpTic, so they've gotten over that hump at the least. Um, but they're playing was it? Yeah, today Falcon or they're playing FaZe. I mean, they're gonna lose that. But I went and tweeted out, I was like, man, it would not surprise me if Falcons could take a map against FaZe. I mean,
Mhm.
I could definitely see it with this new iteration of that. And then we've got Falcons and Breach tomorrow, which we should win that. Um, but again, with the way that team is with Falcons just being kind of unproven, other than just the match that they had against OpTic, I don't really know what the trajectory is with that team. I don't know how good they're going to get. The only teams that you can clearly say suck right now are LAG and Cloud9.
Yeah.
And again, with Cloud9, they just haven't made a change. And the other teams have all tried to make changes and have. And the competition level, to your point, is so much closer. There's
Mhm.
still a huge gap from FaZe and Thieves compared to everybody else. Um, but they just didn't take advantage of these players that were available, and now
Mhm.
they're paying the price
Yeah.
because everyone's overshadowed them.
Yeah, and Cloud9 and Boston were the only 2 teams that didn't make a change, right? And clearly Boston is still like just as good as they were before, and they're hanging with the other teams that did make changes. Cloud9's like they're not, right? And I guess if you look at Cloud9 on paper and you look at the type of players that they have, you know, everyone's like biased to an extent. You're like, oh, this team's better on paper if you just
Right.
look at these players individually compared to Boston. But Boston did make a change, and they're still hanging with all these teams that did make changes, and they're beating them. Whereas Cloud9 didn't make a change, and now they're falling behind significantly towards the teams that did make a change. So, you know,
Yeah, it's tough, but I think Boston definitely had way more signs of life
yeah,
throughout the season. Like they've just overall been a better team and have looked better. What was it Major one? They had that they got double first rounded, but um, again, we were texting about it earlier. I mean, they got dealt a bad hand. Like they had to
yeah,
go and play FaZe and then or Thieves or in some iteration of that. And same thing at Major too. It's amazing that they beat
they
Thieves,
played
but
the yeah,
yeah, so at the top level against those teams, it's tough if they still have to face off against them. I mean, Boston's not as good as those teams,
mhm,
on a consistent daily basis, those teams are going to beat them. Granted, if you catch them napping, then they can pull it off. But even I think Cloud9, if they were playing, okay, and FaZe was having a bad day, I still think Cloud9 loses.
mhm, yeah,
Where Boston has that potential and they all look really good when they're all playing good. And if FaZe is playing bad or Thieves playing bad, they can take over.
mhm,
So yeah, it's not really much of a surprise that that team didn't make a change. And it's paid off for them because, again, we were just talking about it, man. They look really good, and I think for the standings right now, they're in second place. It's Thieves in first seed, and then Breaches in second. And I mean, the way it's looking, like tomorrow we're going to be playing Falcons. We should win that. I'm hoping
mhm,
that we win that. I mean, dude, we're going to go 4-1. Like you
mhm,
know, this is sick. This
yeah,
is good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No, it's good, and the whole we're probably not gonna play FaZe or Thieves. Well, no, we're definitely not playing Thieves, even if we, uh actually, no, there is a chance if we lose, but these would
Yeah.
have to win. But yeah, there's a good chance that we're not playing FaZe or Thieves the first round of winners, which, like, personally, don't want that because you're just up against like a giant right away, and then you get knocked down straight to losers. Um, but yeah, Boston has a good chance at this major again, like bracket wise. So I really hope that they make it to Sunday because they have a very, very, very good chance. They're probably either going to play Surge or Toronto, most likely in winners. And again, they've beaten both of those teams before, and they can do it again. And they
Yeah,
should have
dude.
beaten Surge last major. So
I know. Yeah, man, I'm really just pulling for the guys. I mean, I hope that they just have a good major. They looked good in major too. Again, they should have definitely gone farther to your point about them facing Surge, but just the way this is all played out for them, they've been dealt a bad hand in the first couple of majors regarding the matches that they had to play. Now we're getting blessed, you
mhm,
know. So we've got to make the most of this.
mhm.
If we start choking and we get double first rounded again, I mean, I'm going to be fucking beside myself.
Oh, yeah, because then we just look like a online team when
Right,
this
right.
team is like they're not obviously like they look really good and then they just choke at land.
Yeah, no, that's been their biggest struggle. Is just trying to prove that they can do it on land.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, I hope that they make a run for this major. I hope to see them on Sunday. I think the teams that we're going to see, it's probably going to be the same. It's going to be Falcons. What am I saying? I'm losing my mind. It's going to be FaZe, Thieves, Hope, and Breach is in there.
Hmm.
Um, I think Surge is probably going to be a definite case there as well. The real question for me is the Miami team. I
Hmm.
don't I don't know how far they're gonna go. Um, they look really good, but then they went and had that match against Ultra and they lost. I think it was 3-1.
Hmm.
They lost the what was it, the control, and then they ended up losing the hard point. The last hard point they lost I think it was a pretty sizable gap. Um, so I don't know if I just put that into, oh, maybe Miami's not looking as good, or it's just that Ultra is that good of a team.
Mhm.
Um, I don't really know what to think of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ultra nearly they could have won like last major too. So Ultra's right there. I think Miami, they do well on land. I mean, we'll see how well they actually do now with the new team, but they definitely can play spoiler against like a Surge, Ultra, or FaZe or Thieves. Honestly, like they have the potential to do that. Um, because uh, well, with Super, like I've never seen him play on land, so no idea how he is. But Real's just insane on land.
Right.
Past two majors, he's just cooking, and then his team kind of lets him down.
Right.
So now with Super, they look so much better online. Uh, to see if they can actually translate that to LAN or not. But yeah, I think a lot of the mid pack teams, there is like a pretty good chance that like a couple of them can make it to a Sunday. I think the only two for sure that are locked, and I say this now, actually, no, I'm not going to say for sure. The only team for sure that's a lock to make it to Sunday is FaZe.
Yeah.
That's the only team that I definitely can say that's locked in for Sunday. The other teams, you don't know. Like I want to say LAT, but
You can't.
you can't uh after last major. And like, they look good now too, but again, FaZe has just been so consistent with everything.
Yeah, phase for sure will make it. The whole thief situation, I think they're going to have a way better tournament this time around. I do expect them to bounce back and be a definite on Sunday. But that being said, I think it's going to be a real problem for that team if they don't. If they choke again on land, and if there is some team, depending on
Mhm.
how the bracket shakes up, if they have to go and play an Ultra or a Miami or a Surge, I mean, dude, that could be really, really tough for them.
Mhm.
You know, I still for some reason am selling ultra short in my mind. I don't know why. I just don't think that team, when I first saw them, at the beginning of the year, I didn't think that team was going to be that good. I thought they were going to be, a mid-pack team and really struggling, but they've totally proven me wrong. I mean, they're a really, really good team. Especially taking down Miami like they did. Um, I mean, you have to put them right there with Surge, or just I guess right below them because of how they lost last time to them.
Mhm.
Uh, um, but if any of these teams, like if Thieves have to go and play against them, especially like they're having a bad match or just a bad day of playing, Ultra will definitely take over and knock them out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love that stuff because I just think that makes it way more exciting. I'd like to see somebody other than just FaZe and Thieves and Surge, like in the
Mhm.
grand finals or losers finals. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think Ultra will be able to sneak through too.
Yeah, I mean, right, I think FaZe, Thieves, Surge, and Ultra, you could kind of say they're around like they're top 4, you know? Um, if Thieves don't make it to Sunday again, like if they get knocked out early, like on Friday, um, that's not gonna look good for them,
That'd be crazy.
obviously. Yeah. I mean, it happened last time. So,
Yeah, I know.
in Toronto and Surge, maybe they'll meet again in the losers bracket. Because I mean, I'm gonna say it. I think FaZe are just gonna win out and make it to finals again. Uh, Because like I mean, right now, technically, I think they're like 1-3 or no 1-2. Because I think they play today and tomorrow. But yeah, they're 1-2, and
Yep.
people are like, "Oh, FaZe look bad." I'm like, no, that FaZe is the only team that I don't give a shit about. They're gonna make it to Sunday, no matter what. That's just that team. They've won 3 in a row. If somehow you say that doesn't matter, then you're just absolutely faded. Like they have a chance to 4-peat. Like that's insane.
Yeah. So do you have them winning the whole thing? Do you think they're gonna win this major?
I need no, I'm not gonna make that decision yet until after the brackets like finally plays because we're recording on Saturday. Um, and I just don't know how the bracket's gonna play out. I don't think it's clear cut that FaZe is gonna win this major. I think it's gonna
Definitely
be a
not.
fight.
Yeah.
But I do want to see how the bracket what the bracket looks like first before making that. Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be a lot closer though. But I will say
Yeah.
I have a feeling I don't think these are winning. I just have a gut feeling, and I'm gonna go with that. I don't think these are winning,
Mm.
and that sucks for them. Like if that's actually true. Uh, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. If I had to make a blind prediction right now, it's nothing crazy. I would say FaZe is gonna win this. Um, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that it's gonna be FaZe Ultra.
Hmm.
I think Ultra is gonna make a run this tournament. They're gonna do really, really well. Um, I don't know again with Thieves. I hope that they do well just for the sake of that team and knowing the struggles that they've gone with the past couple of majors. Um, but I'm with you. I don't think they're gonna win. I don't know. I just don't see it.
Hmm.
Um, people would go and look at the standings, but what the hell are you talking about? Like they're first seed right now, and they've always looked like that. I mean, they went undefeated in Major two in all the qualifiers. Which some people probably said that was the reason why they lost, because you need
Hmm.
to taste some L's before you go and start winning. Um, but yeah, I would say that FaZe is going to be they're definitely going to make it to Sunday. I'd have them as my like early winners.
Hmm.
And I kind of hope they do because like I've said a while ago, I want them to just dominate.
Hmm.
I want to have, the history books be written and talking about this year in Black Ops 6 where they were just undeniable and they won everything.
Yeah, like Cold War. Like
Right.
they're just Cold War phase again.
Right, and I think, they're obviously on track. I mean, I don't know
Hmm.
how they're probably doing just as good. I have to go back and look at that Cold War year because I think they only lost 1 major. Um,
Yeah, I can't remember, but
yeah, I
they.
think it was, like I think they won everything other than just 1 major.
Hmm.
Um, so they're on track. They could do it. If they lose this one, then it's all good. They just gotta win Major 4 and champs.
Yeah,
Um,
and then
but
EWC.
Yeah, right, yeah. Um, but I would say those guys are gonna be my top teams. I'd say the teams that are gonna bow out pretty early, though, it's gonna be the Cloud9s. Um, they're gonna have another abysmal major, and then it's gonna be all the sad tweets. LAG, that team, same thing, is gonna be, I feel so bad for Kismet on that team, bro. I
Hmm.
feel so bad. Him and, Johnny. You know, those
Hmm.
guys clearly have potential as players and they look good. Um, but they're just in the wrong teams.
Hmm.
They need to go somewhere else. I would be shocked if they're going to stick with that team next year unless they're getting, a mega bag.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say those are going to be the two teams that immediately get knocked out. And it's crazy to see Kismet in that situation from where he was, and now
Hmm.
he's back down like he was back in MW 2019 when he
Yeah.
was on Paris. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's trash." I'm like, now we're looking at him, and I'm like, "Dude, that's a world champ, bro."
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
that's how everyone looks at Priesta. Like they
Yeah,
just forget.
yeah,
Like he looked like shit on Boston. I mean,
yeah,
and he looked like shit again on LAG.
yeah,
And now he looks significantly better. Like
yeah.
people just forget he's a world champ, like for a reason. Same with
Right.
Kiz. It's just all about the players, around you. But no, I do. Yeah, I think LAGs they're gonna bow out pretty quick. Cloud9, I think Ravens are gonna bow out pretty quick too. Like,
Really.
yeah, I don't think Dylan Rex is gonna. No offense to him, I just think that team like they need a little more time unless they come out and just dominate the next game and they will look insanely better. Like I don't know, people say chemistry doesn't matter as much anymore in games like this. I completely disagree. I think chemistry will always matter, and I think that'll hurt them a little bit. I think Rocker is gonna make a run. I'm gonna say it now. I think Rocker they're gonna make a run into Saturday. They're gonna have a close matchup to potentially get into Sunday and then lose that. Maybe a map 5 fashion, maybe not around 11, but I think they'll get pretty close to Sunday. So I'm gonna I think it'll be a game to get into Sunday. They're gonna choke and lose.
Kenny's going to
Pro,
rally the troops.
yeah, yeah. I think they're gonna do that. They're probably gonna lose to a, I'm gonna say like a Surge or Ultra to make it into Sunday.
Hmm. And now I would say the last team I want to ask you about on this, OpTic.
Yeah,
How do they do?
I think they get eliminated on Friday,
Yeah.
which I mean, I can see them getting into Saturday, but I just don't think this is, you know, the team that is going to go and fry everyone
No.
like at all. Like, and I mean, they have to know that. Like this team is good, but it is not the best optic team that everybody, expects them to be.
No, definitely not. Um, and I still don't get a lot of people putting all the stock and hype into, seeing how they do in scrims, because that's where I see a lot of people on Twitter. That's where they base most of their opinions on the team, saying like, "Oh, do they look really good in scrims?" Bro, every goddamn team looks like FaZe in
Mhm.
scrims. I mean, they just look insane. But especially with their track record, they just have been struggling so much. I know I already said about the Falcons one and how that loss is not as bad as people, make it out to be. Um, but still, when you look at the stats, they're playing bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're just not, it's not like they're losing to a bunch of people who suck at the game, but they're getting outplayed. And
Hmm.
Falcons that's still such a new team, and they're able to put it together better than Optic with people who have been on that team and played together for years and years and the whole season.
Hmm.
Um, I just don't see them figuring it out. I really don't know for the future of that team. I don't know if they stick together throughout this whole year.
Hmm.
I don't think they're going to. I would be
I
surprised.
I mean, they say they're not like they're done making changes,
Yeah.
and I think they are just because they don't have time to, unless I don't know, Scrap becomes available for whatever reason,
Right.
or Sib. Like if Sib actually gets released, then I think Optic should try to go for him. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's gonna happen. I think that'll be the only way they'll actually consider it. But
Right.
Optic right now, they are in that mid pack team, and obviously every Optic fan, you don't want them to be a mid pack team, but at the end of the day, they are right now. And I think those four guys, like if they don't make a change and Sib doesn't become available, then they're gonna stick it out for the whole year. Roster Mania is gonna happen, and Skies and Hook are gonna be gone. I think a lot of people can predict that. And then Dashy and Shotzi obviously will be that duo, and they're gonna have to find another two.
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it's going to go down. It's a very odd time. If you've never followed the CDL until this year and you're like seeing this, it's got to be a trip to watch that team go through what they are going through right now. Because I feel like they've lost their identity.
Mhm.
You just don't even know what that team's going to do, how they're going to actually play. And I think the community is really divided on the players themselves, as to who they like and who they think is to blame and not to blame. Um, it just puts them in a really tough situation. I don't know. It's not as bad as the Cloud9 one where they've given them more than enough time to prove themselves. I mean, this is a new team just for this major, but yeah, yeah. I don't know how bad the situation gets for them to have to go and hit the red button and be like, we got to go and get something going here, because now we're in danger of not making champs,
Mhm.
and there's just no way that they can let that happen. And then that's where they have the choice: do they hope and pray that these guys can pull it together and get enough points to qualify, or do they take a chance on some, like a Dan Ghosty situation,
Mhm.
and take a chance on one of the top AMs and throw them in there and just hope and pray that that works?
Yeah, I thought. Look, so if they make somewhat of a run at this major, like they get 30 to 40 points, maybe they'll have somewhat of a cushion going into Major Four, and they'll look decent, for champs. But I think if they get double for, or if they get first rounded, just knocked straight out, and they don't even get any points, then it's gonna look like really bad for them, right? Like it does in general, it doesn't look good to not have OpTic in champs. That's a
Right.
team, regardless of whether you like them or not. That team should be in champs no matter what.
Hmm.
With the those 2 stars on that team, right? Like, and if they don't get any points this major, and then Rocker
Rocker.
Rockers start making a run, which I'm predicting they're going to make a run. Boston definitely can make a run. I mean, they're guaranteed a couple points already, and it's going to look really bad for them. So they don't want to get first rounded. Uh, and if they do, then yeah, potential roster change there. It's like, oh, what are they going to do? Like, did they really try to stick it out? Because it's the potential of this team. I think they'll do that if they can make a somewhat of a run because they're building that cushion going into champs. But if they're out quick, and Siv's available, I think you got to go and do something.
I agree. Um, and just so we're all on the same page here with it, like looking at the standings, I mean, 1 through 5, I'd really say 1 through 6, but I'm gonna say like the top 5 is secured. It's really not going to be moving around. Carolina's 5 points behind Vancouver for fourth place, but I don't think that Surge is going to really let up. I think they're going to stay in that spot. And I don't think that Toronto's going to drop enough for them to take over. But the real fight, like 6, 7, 8, and 9, yeah, Boston's with 140 and 6. They're looking like, again, trajectory's on the up. So they're looking good. OpTic at 130, and they're tied with Miami at 130. You know, I mean, most people would say that Miami's going to continue to progress and they're going to take over that spot, which I think is completely logical. And then to what we just said before, Rockers in 10th. 9 is New York. I Again, they screwed up, dude. I think they're gonna get definitely taken over by Rocker and they're just gonna fall deeper into the, bottom four. But um OpTic better be hoping and praying that Rocker just gets smoked
Yeah.
immediately. They get first rounded and that's it. That's what they need. If they don't get that and Kenny all of a sudden turns up and he goes and, gets them, I don't know, 15, 20 points. I don't know how far they'd have to make it. Is it 5 points a win? Is that
It's
what it
10.
is? 10 points a
Yeah.
win? Yeah. I mean, dude, it gets
Yeah.
scary. Like
Yeah.
they get right there and it with the way optics looking again, we got to see how the bracket is. But it could get really dangerous for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And
If they're not ninth, they're gonna be eighth and barely.
yeah, and you don't want to be there, especially as Boston's been fighting for that 8th spot every single year besides now, and there's a good chance of that like they can control that, They just got to win their games and they're good, you know. And the point difference between 6th and 5th is 70 points. And so that's Ravens and then Boston.
Yeah.
Like like for the most part I would say Ravens are pretty locked unless they are just out Thursday immediately. And again, Boston makes a run and say like I think Boston has a really, really good chance where they can make it to Sunday and potentially make it to a winners finals. Like a lot of things will have to happen, but I do think they can beat Surge, they can beat an Ultra, they can beat LA Thieves. It's just FaZe is, they're just one of those teams that's undeniable. But I think Boston has a really, really good chance this major and a underdog going into this that they can play spoiler with a lot of these teams.
They definitely can. And I don't think they're gonna take over that spot against Carolina. I think Carolina will do okay.
Hmm.
Um, I really think they're gonna just kind of stay the same, you know. But granted, I don't know how you know, much pop off potential Dylan Rex has. I don't really know anything about him other than I know the name. I've heard of him, for years. Like I know you have too. But I'm not expecting much on this solely because of time. Yeah, they just haven't had enough time playing together. Unless he turns out to be the next Neptune and he takes that team and ascends them into greatness, which that would be unbelievable if that was the case. But yeah, depending on how these teams end up doing, Boston has a really good road ahead of them. I mean, they've set themselves up really well. Major Three has blessed them regarding just the bracket and like, throughout like the qualifiers. So they got to make the most of it.
Mhm.
I sure hope that they make it to Sunday. And yeah, maybe I'm just, I'm evil, but I love to see these lower level teams like seeing Falcons and Rocker. I want to see them win out because I want to see things get all screwed up. You
Mhm.
know,
No,
I
I mean, you're just rooting for the underdog. That's what everyone does, rooting for the
yeah.
underdog.
Yeah, and I want them to take advantage of some of these teams that have just been caught lacking and haven't been able to pull it together. I like seeing these teams that take the initiative and try to, win out or just try to improve. Um, I think a lot of people were like that with Falcons at first when they just had the same team and they kept losing and people just said, "Well, screw you," like I
Mhm.
and I was kind of in that boat too. I'm sure you were. It's like, bro, I wasn't watching Falcons matches.
Mhm.
Everybody knew the way it was going to go. But then you see them drop everybody, pick up superstar players. It's like, okay, they want to play, they want to win, and the fact that they're showing they care, I hope they do well, you
Yeah.
know.
I think it's different for viewers. Like, there's a clear difference between seeing it like, okay, Cloud9, yeah, I think they need to make a change, but there's a clear difference between looking at that team that, yeah, you can see them winning versus Falcons before. I'm never seeing this team win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they have to do something. I don't think Cloud9 is to the point where it's that bad, but
No.
you would expect from an organization like that they do want to win and you know, they need to start making changes and doing something about it, right? But again, the question's just like, who are you going to get? Who are you getting rid of? It's going to be a gamble no matter what at this point for them. Like any of these teams that start making changes post major, it's going to be, a gamble.
Right.
Uh, with Ravens, I think did they need to make a change? I don't think so necessarily. It's kind of interesting that they made a change right before the major, but obviously they thought that they needed something. And I don't think Dylan Rex is the answer. I think the answer is already on the team. I think it's Gwyn. Gwyn just has to play well on land. I think that the Ravens made that guy the superstar and like play around him, like support him. I think Rex coming in will help out with that because at the end of the day, his job is to do his job and play better than Vivid, right? Be more consistent than him and make sure that Gwyn and Tej are just frying on
Right.
lane. Because right now, I mean, Slasher's good, but he's like the best player on the team right now, which is wild when you
He
would think
shouldn't
that,
be at all.
no, yeah, I mean, like he's should be the support, like, and you would think the best player on the team is normally like a sub player in this era, at least, because they're just flying around everywhere. And we've seen Gwyn, like that guy he needs to pop off like how he normally does on land.
Yeah, that's their X factor is him. If Gwyn plays well this major, that team's going far. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really how I see it. I think Dylan Rex, I don't know. I would be really surprised if that guy comes in and completely costs.
Yeah.
And he is the sole reason that they end up losing. I think if that's going to be the case, it's going to be because Gwyn also was not performing well. And then because of that, Dylan Rex didn't do well. Yeah, it is strange how Slasher is right up there with Attach as, one of the most seasoned players right now, and he's doing the best on the team. That's a bad sign. Yeah, I mean they gotta all pick it up as a team to do well. And I'm with you. I thought it was really strange that they made that change right before, but again, I like the initiative that they're at least trying to do something and they hope that it works out. But yeah, I mean, to that point, like what I was just gonna contradict myself, but the way I see that, we know Slasher, I have a lot of faith in him, in his vision for how the game's gonna be played, and Teach too. Like, I don't think that that was a decision that they made lightly. I'm
Yeah.
sure that they made it and picking him up, they felt confident and knew what they were trying to get. So that's why I'm hopeful with that team.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I don't think there was a mistake, like, doing that or
no,
anything.
no, no, I know,
They
I know.
know that Vivid, like, I mean, he knows, like, he just wasn't playing
Yeah,
well. I don't think making a swap for Rex is gonna necessarily make them, like, worse. Like, I think they're kinda just
it's a
gonna
lateral
stay the same.
move.
Yeah, yeah. Like, the only way Rex is gonna be worse is if he literally doesn't play. I'm
Yeah,
not even joking. Like, the point of this team is to get Gwyn going. Gwyn needs to get hot, and, like, dude, if you it's like when we're playing, ranked or whatever, and, like, someone's just significantly better, you play support, you play around them. All you gotta do is just, do your job in the
right.
game, you know? You're not expected to be the superstar, which I'd much rather be like that on a team and just, help your players out, help your
Yeah,
guys out that are, like, absolutely frying. That's so
right.
much easier. And Slasher, I obviously, like, he's the best player on the team right now, but I guarantee you he's like, "Dude, I shouldn't be." Or
Right,
maybe he's
right.
not gonna say that, but he's like, "We need Gwyn to pop off, because if he's playing well, we're all gonna look really good."
Yeah, and then they can play, more to their roles and what they need to do around the map.
Mhm,
When you get into situations like that, then people start picking up each other's slack, and that's when it gets tough because then certain areas and certain things may, not be covered, or again, you just have a player who's really not doing much of anything, and you're never going to win like that.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see them play. They're going to be playing in what is it here? Let me look this up really quick because I think on Sunday they're playing. Yeah, it's going to be a tough match for them because they're playing Thieves then, which I mean, who
Yeah,
really
that's
knows
tough.
what's going to yeah, that I think that's actually the only time that we're seeing them this weekend. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because they have one more game. That should
yeah,
be their last game.
yeah, which I mean, let's keep it a stack. They're going to lose that match. I mean, there's just no way they beat Thieves, right?
I mean, it's a new team. Like, if they
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
lose, it's whatever. If they win, that looks nice. But
Oh, yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's the only way you look at that. You can't
Yeah.
chalk it up in a bad way if they get 3-0'd, and then you're gonna have Scrap talk and all his stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, these
Well,
guys like just came together. It is
yeah.
what it
And
is.
the other thing, I don't think Carolina's beaten Thieves at all this year. I think they're 0 whatever, how many times they played.
600. Yeah, bro, they lose all the time to them.
Like, there's a kryptonite to them.
Yeah.
So, again, yeah, if they lose, whatever. If they win, it looks really good for them, and it's good momentum for them to go into the major.
Yeah, and closing out too with OpTic is right now they're 2-2, and then they're gonna be playing they don't play today. They play on Sunday and they're gonna be playing FaZe. I
Yeah.
mean, again, it's
FaZe,
gonna be a
too
loss.
strong.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're gonna lose that. So then they're gonna be 2-3. Yeah, I mean they're gonna be low.
Mhm.
They're gonna start in losers anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's going to be a really exciting major. Like I think this is a huge, huge turning point of a major for Major Four and then champs. I mean, this a lot is riding on these teams pulling it together and the trajectory of them.
Mhm.
Um, to your points earlier, I hope Rocker pulls through and they get a lot of points. I think that they will. I don't think that's insanely faded to think that they're going to do that. They've always been right there. Um, Kenny and that whole team just looks more comfortable. They've had even more time to play together. Um, and it's going to be on land. And I see that team turning up and doing really well.
Mhm.
And if they do that, and again, God knows what's going to happen with Falcons when they go on lot or they go
Yeah.
on land. I have no that team to me, bro. I hope they go far. Like I hope
I hope they
I
make
hope
it
they
to
just upset.
Saturday.
I know, dude. I hope they upset the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
I want to see Pred and Arcides up there and Xnid too.
Yeah.
I just want to see them all yelling and screaming. That would be, that'd be a cinema. It would
Yeah,
be one
because
of the best moments.
that team, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, they're going to these events. I mean, obviously, it does matter. They're trying to win. They're playing for a lot of money.
Yeah,
But as of right now, they're not mathematically out of champs. But like,
they're
they
out.
they kind of are. So now, like, you're just going to have fun. Like, fun. Hopefully, go make you know a decent amount of money and place, like, well, and then you are playing spoiler. Like, this major, I would say, is the most important for Breach, OpTic, Miami and C9 and Rocker. Like those nearly half the league, but like Breach Optic and Miami, they're all so close. They're like 10 points within each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
And
No,
one
you
of
go.
those teams, they're going to get knocked out early. Like whoever gets knocked out early, they're going to be nervous going into Major 4.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying is so good about this because this midfield fight is so close. Um, and there's going to be one of these teams that's going to miss out, and we're going to be looking back at it after Major Four. Or I wonder exactly when that's going to happen, where we start getting these teams. Maybe after this, depending on how they do. But there's going to be teams that are then mathematically ineligible to make it the champs. But when that deadline starts coming, and then these teams are just getting axed, that's when it's going to be really exciting in Major Four. But we're seeing, everything start right now.
Mhm.
Again, if OpTic loses right off the bat and then Rocker does well and some of these teams start, turning up a bit, yeah, it's going to be a really good storyline. So I'm going to be excited for it for sure.
Yeah, Boston, Optic, and Miami, they're fighting for that sixth spot essentially. Like whoever can get the farthest. And right now, like Boston looks the best out of those guys, out of those three teams. So
Yeah.
they can build a significant lead. But yeah, whoever gets knocked out, that eighth spot is gonna be tight. It's gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
really, really tight. So
Yeah. So we'll be
it'll be
looking
good.
forward to it.
It'll
We're
be
going to be
good.
watching it big time. We'll be talking over this weekend over the matches and seeing how they go on because we got the matches going on right now anyway. And I don't even
Mhm.
know what they're. Yeah, right now. Do you see? This is what I'm saying, bro. Sometimes we can't fucking predict this stuff because it's Cloud9 and Surge. You'd
Church,
think
yeah.
it'd be like a 3-0. Yeah, but it's tied 1-1.
Mhm.
I don't know how
Yeah.
that shaped up, but you watch, bro. We're gonna end this episode, and Cloud9's gonna win this 3-1 over Surge. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then everything we just said was completely null and void.
Mhm.
And yeah, sometimes you just can't predict COD no matter what.
Yeah. It's just FaZe. FaZe is
Yeah,
FaZe is the only team that you can predict where if you say they're gonna win, that's not a bad take. No matter
yeah,
what. Like it's not a hot take saying that FaZe is gonna win. I think you can almost guarantee that FaZe is making it that Sunday. Like
yeah.
every time. So
No, they're the only guarantee. I'll tell you this really quick before we call it, man. This match that's going on right now, the way it was, 250 to 231, Cloud9 won that, and then the red
mhm.
card search, um, Vancouver won it, round 11 though.
Okay, yes. So it's close.
It's like it's close. Yeah,
Close
I mean
hard
this is gonna
point,
be
close search.
yeah. That's why I love this, bro, because sometimes I feel like I know what we're talking about. I'm like, yeah, we're pretty good, and then you have no idea what we're talking about, you
Yeah,
know.
it's COD. That's what COD is.
I know, but that's what
Yeah.
makes it so exciting is like
Mhm.
again, the only thing you can predict with 95% certainty is that FaZe is going to be there on Sunday.
Yeah,
Everything else,
yeah.
forget about it. You can't predict it.
No, yeah, and yeah, I'll make my prediction most likely after once a bracket's set. So
Yeah,
after Sunday, the Sunday matches, I'll make my prediction. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I've been going with my gut. I was right the last one. Um, and I'm just gonna go with my gut again with it. And my gut is telling me Thieves is not winning, unfortunately. But again, I guess like it doesn't matter if they win champs. If they win champs, nothing else really matters, to be honest. So,
right, right.
but I don't know if my gut's gonna say that by champs time. Like we don't know yet.
Well, dude, we'll come back in episode 220 and then we'll say it's like, Justin, you were dead right or you were dead wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah,
Thieves absolutely annihilated everybody. They 5-0'd FaZe.
yeah.
they they won the major. Um, yeah, no, we'll definitely be talking about it in the next episode, obviously, to see how it all shaped up because there's going to be a lot of good storylines. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for it for sure. But yeah, man, I think that kind of closed out. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add before we call it.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah. So let us know, my people listening and everyone, if we were dead right or dead wrong about this. And especially too, let us know just with the competition in the middle, who do you think's not going to be making it to champs? Which one of the teams is going to be missing out? If I had
There's
to
four.
say, yeah, I mean, we say all this talk about OpTic not making it. I do think they will make it to champs, but I think it's going to be very very close. Um, I don't think that Rocker's going to be able to dig themselves out enough to go and make it to champs.
Mhm.
I still think it's going to be kind of the way it is. But it's not a good look when OpTic barely squeaks on through,
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's never a good look. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
dealing with that with Boston. That
Yeah.
you don't want the stress, like, as a
Yeah.
fan,
Yeah.
you don't wanna be fighting for that 8th spot. It sucks, and you're just
Yeah.
there, like, okay, that it might not
Yeah.
happen.
So
Um,
thankfully this year it's nice that we get to kind of
we're
we can
we
breathe.
look good. Yeah. Yeah,
We
yeah,
can
yeah,
breathe, bro.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, yeah, no, I think OpTic's gonna make champs too. It's
yeah.
also, it just wouldn't honestly, it would look horrible for the CDL if OpTic did not make champs. Like,
Y- it-
I think the ratings wouldn't look as good if OpTic doesn't make champs.
No chance. Yeah, there'd be a lot of people who wouldn't watch just because Optic's not there, and there's
Yeah,
probably people who wouldn't attend, which I think is insane.
yeah.
If you had tickets and you canceled because
Dude,
Optic's
yeah,
not there,
yeah,
that's mental.
yeah.
But for sure, online viewers, there's going to be fans out there that don't even bother watching.
Yeah, I think the core CDL fan base is, like, decently sized, like, they'll always
Yeah,
be there, like, you and I, like, we're gonna be watching, but if OpTic's not there, yeah, like, I really wonder how the ticket sales are gonna go. People are still gonna go, obviously, but we know a lot of people buy, like, one-day, tickets just to see, that OpTic team, which
right,
I mean, I get that, like, those are, like, the guys, right? Like,
right.
when we first saw them, we were like, "Holy shit, like, they're real." Like,
Yeah,
these are the guys. They're OpTic.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think they'll squeak on by with 8th. I think Miami's bound out. That's what I think.
Damn,
I truly think
damn,
Rocker is squeaking through. Oh, no,
damn.
so
So
okay, no, so I think, OpTic will, stay 7th, will be well, right? It's Rocker, not Rocker. OpTic 7th, Miami's 8th, they're tied, right?
hmm
Yeah, so I think OpTic will stay that 7th seed. I think Miami's getting knocked down. I don't know. I think Rocker's gonna climb its way back.
So you think
Or
Rocker's going to go from 10th with 100 points?
100
They're going
points.
to go and they're going to leapfrog New York and Miami.
Yeah,
That's your prediction?
yeah, yeah. But
Fair,
by
fair,
champs,
fair.
um,
I could see it.
because Miami's up 30 points.
Yeah.
So I mean, Cloud9, what, they're up 5 points. That's whatever.
Dude, again, you can't say it's faded. Who you have no idea.
Yeah.
Again, I would say that it's going to be a long shot, but they could do it. So
Mhm.
again, who knows? But again, let us know your predictions, what you think's going to happen, and then obviously we're going to go break down in the next episode all the woes and the
The bad.
highs and seeing how it went. So be sure to let us know then when we do that episode as well. And yeah, I think that's it, bro. Right?
Yep.
Pretty much. Cool. So again, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode 219 of the COD Casuals podcast. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all stream platforms, and then go to the Instagram and TikTok for the shorts if you don't want to watch the full episode. Of course, go to the YouTube, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We appreciate it on Spotify, all the platforms that we're on. 5-star rating.
5 stars only.
Since it helps us a lot more than you know. And then, of course, go into Twitter or X at COD Casual since we're tweeting there all the time. So if you want to follow us and keep up to date with us, that's the best platform to do it on. And I think that's it.
Yep.
So again, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode 219 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike,
I'm Justin.
and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.